blog Being Vegan after switching to a plant-based diet and experiencing the health benefits firsthand. She creates healthy plant-based versions of traditional Latin dishes on her blog to show that you can still enjoy flavorful food on a vegan diet. Nzingah is a certified raw vegan chef, yoga instructor, and founder of food and holistic lifestyle blog, Yes Baby, I Like It Raw. She believes that food is healing, art is medicinal, and yoga is therapeutic.
Hi, my name is Nzingah. My journey is a little complicated. It's the result of me being sick and tired of being sick and tired. When I was 13 years old, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor and a rare autoimmune disorder very shortly after. And so by the time I was 19, I had like 5 doctors that I saw on a regular basis, a neurologist, an endocrinologist, the list goes on. And I was on medication, and I remember asking the doctor, will I ever see a day where I didn't need to be on medication? And the doctor essentially said no. And I was just like, you know what? There has to be a better way. And I always would find, I was a super nerd, so I always asked questions, and my doctors weren't communicating. And they were always providing conflicting information. So I decided to take my healing into my own hand, and I decided that being plant-based would be the route for me to go, as well as taking on an herbal protocol. Being plant-based wasn't something that wasn't familiar for me because I grew up Seventh-day Adventist, and if anyone knows about that religion, we preach within that context a plant-based diet or kosher. So it was just me making that transition and going plant-based and being able to now say that I'm not on that. So I made that change 16 years ago, and a lot of times people see me, they don't anticipate seeing a vegan that is Haitian, because within the Haitian construct, veganism is not normal. I created this blog called Yes Baby, I Like It Raw, because I transitioned my diet to a more raw diet. But it's about helping people to tap into their raw potential and knowing that you can, everything you need to heal yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically lies within first. So that's how I started Yes Baby, I Like It Raw. And I just wanted to show different images and different recipes with respect to the plant-based diet. A lot of times when people think about veganism, they think about it within a certain framework. I'll use myself as a personal experience, and I know she's going to use the story as well. I have a lot of people who say to me, you eat like white people. And I'm like, well, what do white people eat like? And they're like you. And they're like, white people don't even necessarily eat like me. So there's this framework of veganism being something that is Eurocentric and very affluent. But when we start to look at the global movement of plant-based diets, there are vegans in different types of contexts. In Ethiopia, they advocate for vegan fast. Rastafarianism is a religion in Jamaica that is a plant-based diet. We also have in Hinduism, they preach a plant-based diet, but within the Western framework, we always think of veganism being limited to a certain group of people.
Right, like in my case, a lot of people, when I told them I was plant-based, they say, well, you can't be plant-based, you're Puerto Rican. Like, there's no way you can do that. I'm like, yes it is, there is a way, because I'm eating Puerto Rican food on a daily basis and it's still plant-based. Like, they just told me it was impossible to do it, and I was like, well, it's possible because I'm doing it, and I'm going to show you how I do it. So basically, it's just, you know, being true to yourself and just saying, you know what, I'm this way, I'm going to adopt a plant-based lifestyle, whether, you know, it's religion, for religious reasons, health reasons, for activism, it's your decision, and you're just going to go with it.
So we brought this meme up because there's this perception of what vegans eat, you know, grass, carrots, salad all day. You know, whenever you go to a non-plant-based event, it's like, yeah, we got vegan options, and then they give you this wax salad. And so what was really important for both of us when we had a conversation about what we're going to speak about is that you can be plant-based, and there's a lot of diversity within the plant-based construct.
Right, it goes beyond just salad. Like, I try not to eat salad as much because I know that there's so many options that you can take just like things like jackfruit and make it into a vegan pulled pork sandwich, things like that. So it's just like learning and educating yourself about the different types of substitutes that are out there, and just adopting them and making them your own. And also another myth buster, I guess you could say, is that you have to be rich to be a vegan.
Yeah.
I know I'm not rich, so I look for sales all the time on plant-based foods. It's possible. You could still be, have a middle class, even if you're not, you don't have a lot of money. You can still buy on sale. There's a lot of ways to save on a plant-based diet. And plus, meat is very expensive nowadays. So if you're eliminating the meat, all you have to do is, grains, beans, tofu. Tofu is very cheap. It's just how you want to spice up your options.
So speaking of spice, because we both come from a very dynamic palate, the biggest thing for us is
salt and pepper is not the only seasoning that's out there. So I know, like for Puerto Ricans, we use a lot of cooking bases like sofrito or recao that we add to our food that makes it and just takes it to another level. So I use salt and pepper in addition to that and other spices. So it's unlimited options on seasoning.
Same thing with Haitian culinary palette. We have what's called épis, is where I have to get a mortar and pestle and I put all these spices together and then I marinate my fruits or my vegetables and stuff with that. But another thing about salt and pepper, like on a more metaphysical basis, is everything is not black and white. And when we look at veganism, we always feel like it has to look and be a certain way. You have to be athletic, you can't be big, you have to be affluent. And it's really important, I feel, as influencers, that you start to be yourself as opposed to being what you think you need to show up to be in order to be heard.
Exactly. It's just like embrace your culture, embrace where you come from and who you are, and that's what makes it even better, because people look at us and they don't see us as vegans. They're like, wait, you're a vegan? And we're like, why? I don't look like one. But it's because we embrace who we are and where we come from. It's just how it is. Like, going to different restaurants and just even educating people on using different seasoning, or going to a restaurant and saying, hey, why don't you make this go without the meat?
So our takeaways, and we'll speak a little bit more, I guess, on being an influencer or blogger within the breaking the mold construct, is do you, boo? Be your authentic self. When I started my journey in showcasing my journey, because I've been vegan for a while, but I didn't always publicly discuss it or had a blog or showed it on my Instagram as much as I do now. I was kind of like just showing pictures of my food, and a friend challenged me. She's like, people aren't going to follow you because you have pretty pictures. Some of the people who are going to follow you is because of what you look like, and they see a representation of themselves. So it's really important for you to be your authentic self, which means if you're bloated one day, show your bloated self. Because I feel like in this day and age where everything is photoshopped, we end up losing ourselves in the mix and losing our voice. And what's worked for me personally is being authentic has allowed me to go to different conferences or being interviewed or being showcased or going viral, because I was something dynamic let me say, I was a rock in a pool of sand. So it's like, oh wait, there goes that rock. I want to showcase that rock. So by being yourself, you have more opportunities to get the exposure that you're looking for, I would say.
And also being myself, I'm using that to educate other, Hispanics or non-Hispanics that want to do this plant-based lifestyle, that maybe want flavorful foods and things like that. So it's just about educating, showing them what I do on a daily basis, how I take certain ingredients and just use the same methods that my family uses when they're cooking their traditional meals, and just making this plant-based version of it, and just how it's easy. It's not difficult, actually, because a lot of people think, oh, eating vegan diet is too hard. I can't do it. I can't eliminate my meat. But it is, and you feel so much better after you do it that you don't want to go back. And that's pretty much how I feel. And I know other people that I talk to, when they finally see that way of, wow, I have more energy and I don't need to have 3 cups of coffee, that they don't want to go back to the way they were. They want to keep going and try to diversify and look for new ways to make new dishes, or even how to become a better person.
Another takeaway is embrace your culture, which means if you're Italian, make Italian food. If you're Haitian, make Haitian food. I have followers who DM'd me and said that the reason why they followed me was because I was Haitian. And for a long time, I wasn't really even pushing like, hey, I'm Haitian. And then one day, just like, let me put the flag, just so people know. There's always a question of where I'm from. And it changed some of my audience. And some of my most, some of the posts that have done the best for me were posts that were related to a dish that was traditional to my culture, and I was able to give like a historical fact about it. For instance, January 1st is the Haitian Independence Day, and we make a soup to celebrate that day. And I made it vegan and posted it on January 1st, and that was my best post ever. And I think it's because, one, oh wow, I didn't know that was your Independence Day. Wow, pumpkin soup, let me try it.
Yeah, recently for me, I did a roasted pork dish that's actually jackfruit, but looks exactly like pork, and in Puerto Rico we call it pernil. So basically, I fooled a lot of people because they thought it was real pork, but it's not, because just the way I took the picture looks exactly like it, and it's marinated the same exact way. I had my family try it, and they're like, that tastes exactly the way it is. So it's just basically even getting my family involved in it and just trying to get them to eat more plant-based foods, and it just resembles what they're used to. So if you could make it taste the same as what they're used to, just a healthier version, that's the way to go, at least for me.
And our last takeaway is let your actions speak for you and touch the world. Vegans, in terms of the vegan mode, we get that rap. Especially when we move towards that more ethical world, like, oh my God, I can't believe you're wearing that. And honestly, to get people to like contemplate a plant-based lifestyle, let your actions speak for you as opposed to like pointing a finger and telling them that they're doing something wrong. Just be light, and people will be attracted to that light.
Exactly. Like, I would go to work and bring plant-based lunches, and people will look at my lunch and want to eat it, as opposed to me eating what they were having. So it was like, oh, what are you eating? And I'm like, oh, this is, plant-based, 100% plant-based. They're like, maybe I should become a vegan, because that looks good, or it smells really good. And sometimes then they want to eat my food, and then I'm like, okay, great, now I have nothing to eat because you want to eat my food. But it's just showing that it's possible and how to do it is just the way, I think, to pretty much convert a lot of people, because it's a less hostile approach, as opposed to pointing the finger and saying, hey, you're eating, that was an animal that was once alive, and now it's not here because the whole, factory farming and all that stuff. But if you're just showing like, wow, this is what you can do, and it's not hostile, it's a better approach.
How long did it take for your health issues to go away once you started the...
Okay, so I have what's called a prolactinoma, and that causes irregular menstrual cycles. So I thought that I could just go plant-based and get off my meds and everything would be okay. And I literally had a TMI, menstrual cycle, for a whole month. And I went to the doctor, and he was like, you've been on, they essentially put me on birth control in middle school to help regulate my menstrual cycle. And my doctor said, you can't do that because now your body is very, it's used to having that hormone there. So when you take it away, it goes into shock. So I had to go back on my meds. And then I called a naturopath who put me on a holistic protocol. And then I was able to wean myself off the medication. And then from there, I was able to wean myself off the herbal protocol, and I'm not doing either one. I'm not on meds, and I'm not on herbal protocol anymore. and I'm able to have a menstrual cycle every month without any assistance, where I was told that would never be the case. So it takes time. It depends on your condition. As far as my autoimmune disorder, just because I'm dealing with multiple layers of things, for me, it was just keeping it in remission. So I am also mindful of not what I put in my mouth. I had to think of how I eat through my skin. So I ended up getting a henna tattoo very shortly after I went vegan, and that caused my body to react. And so I also had to change not only how I ate, but what products I used on my skin. But I promise you, the body's an amazing thing. It can heal itself. There's things that they'll say that aren't curable. A lot of things can be cured. You just need to find the right guides. And your body is your biggest compass. So I say get yourself in a place where you can actually start to listen to your body again, and it'll tell you what works and what doesn't work. So my plant-based diet has changed because of my condition. A lot of times when we're vegan, we eat a lot of processed foods when we transition over, but for me that can't be the case because I want to eat to live and not live to eat. So that's why I'm more high raw now, to help in terms of like making sure that I'm more alkaline and less inflammation in my body. For me with the raw, I have more energy. My gut is happier with the raw. My skin is happier with the raw. A raw diet is one in which you don't cook anything, and if you apply any heat, it's not above 115 degrees. And so when we say fully raw, it means that you're 100% raw. If you say high raw, we're saying that you're 60% or above. So right now I maintain a high raw diet, and most days I'm fully, it just depends. I won't be fully this week. I love the work about But so the difference for me is definitely I have scar tissue on my colon because of my scleroderma. So I need to make sure I have a lot of fiber in my diet in order to move things along, and so I thrive better with a high raw. And I feel like everyone should have at least 50% of their diet raw. If you're a living thing, you should be putting living things in your body. Even if you eat cooked foods, 50% of your day should be raw. And it's as simple as having a green smoothie and a salad every day. That's 50% of your day. So she asked if, and that's for both of us, we definitely make sure that I'm inclusive. And I'm inclusive like because I like global food in general, so I don't just do Haitian food. Like my spice rack has spices from Ethiopia because I love Ethiopian food. I have spices from India. Like I'm all over the palette in terms of what I prepare.
Exactly, I'm the same way too. Like I cook a lot of Hispanic food, but I also cook Indian and other cultures and stuff. I mean, maybe it's not as pure as maybe an Indian, a true Indian would do it, but I try to experiment as well. Because you have to open your palate. You have to try new things. That's the only way you're gonna be successful on this lifestyle.
I would say the best thing, I think you might agree, for me is I eat way more food than I did before.
Yeah.
I used to eat the same thing, essentially as a rotation of the same meals before I was plant-based, and now I'm trying foods that I probably would have never tried had I not switched my diet.
I mean, I eat a lot as well, but I also don't eat as often as I used to. Because before I would eat and still be hungry an hour later. And when you eat, especially a high fiber diet, your hunger doesn't, it lasts longer. You could go between meals, and sometimes like I won't have lunch until much later because I'm not hungry. Like the fiber fills you up. Like I always preach like a lot of fiber. Like try to get as much fiber as you can because that's the only way you can feel full longer. Like protein is great too, but fiber also helps.